walk around the room and I started to create. I know I have to prove to them I have the ability. I there and then decide the minor should dominate.
6:49 in Trinidad and Tobago, where we like to think that this is the Mecca of Carnival, although Rio de Janeiro might have a different perspective to that. I'm always interested in the juxtaposition of Mecca and Carnival. Because you know, in the real Mecca, which is pronounced Makkah, by the way, you wouldn't see anything resembling Carnival. It's kind of like saying it'll have halal pork, which don't make any sense. But anyway, let's move along. There's really no surprise, though, whenever there's Bacchanal, when it comes in anything related to Carnival-type organizations. Calypso and Steel Pan, which was started right here, born right here in Trinidad and Tobago, have long been staples in the festival with various competitions executed by the governing bodies. And we're going to put the focus on those governing bodies right now. TUCO, the Trinbago Unified Calypsonians organization, sadly lost its president, Brother Resistance, in July, and Vice President Ainsley King, whose brother, of course, is well known in the entertainment business as, of course, Johnny King. Ainsley King was voted in as president. However, some members are calling the move unconstitutional and are calling for an election. On the other hand, in PANTRINBAGO, an election carded for this month has been postponed by President Beverly Ramsey Moore, and that has resulted in lots of allegations and accusations. Ms. Ramsey Moore communicated with members in a letter dated September 20th, stating that her executive had decided to postpone the organization's 2021 convention and annual general meeting in the best interest of the elderly membership. This move has been criticized by some and resulted in the suspension and resignation of a few members of the executive. A faction within TUCO and PANTRINBAGO held a media conference yesterday and leveled allegations against both presidents. They join us now via Zoom. Beverly Ramsey Moore, the PANTRINBAGO president, and Ainsley King, now president of TUCO. Good morning to you both. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. If I could start with Ainsley King first, because I know this development has been more recent. Mr. King, very good morning to you. Are you president or interim president? Good morning to you.
Okay, well, the title is president, right? And that is because a decision was taken by the General Council. What happened is that when Masimba passed away, well, I took the position of actually moving in because I was the vice president is a president that is elected at the same time with the president, and the president position is the only position that has a vice, and my duty is to be a president in waiting to execute at any time the president is absent or there's need to ensure that the presence of a president continues, right? So Masimba passed, and death is not a normal situation. It's not normal. People don't prepare for death, or people don't live with the expectation of death coming in. So it happened, and I called a meeting with the executive, that's the administrative executive, that was my first step. And then the second step, from there we called a general council. It took us 3 different occasions to meet to where we are now, because the intention was to try as much as possible to make sure that the decision that is made is one that is correct and one that is reasonable, and hence the reason that we have met to this point. But the basis on which this decision was taken is because of what I just explained. A vice president is elected to be a president in waiting. But the thing is death is not in the Constitution. It's silent. It's really silent in the Constitution.
But okay, just on that point, if you would allow me, and I'm going to give Ms. Ramsey Moore the opportunity to present her case before we pause at 7 o'clock for the news, and then we'll continue the dialogue. Isn't that a failing of TUCO's Constitution? Because I understand the point that you're saying you don't plan for death, but shouldn't there surely be some reference to, if for any reason...
You are correct, but we are present in the position where we are working to ratify the Constitution. That is a process that is intended for the near future. But you see, since as death is silent, Article 9 I gives the power to the General Council to decide wherever the Constitution is silent, and this is what took place.
Okay,
Right?
all right. Okay, we'll develop. Of course, we'll develop those points even further when we come back from the news. But Beverly Ramsey Moore, you are being accused of the same thing that your predecessors would have been accused of being dictatorial and using COVID-19 in this case as an excuse not to have an election. Ms. Ramsey Moore, good morning to you.
Good morning, Fazir. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And that is far from the truth. Fazir, PANTRINBAGO's convention was scheduled for the 31st of October. But we are living in challenging or unprecedented times. COVID-19 regulations does not allow us to have a large gathering. We have consulted, the executive consulted with the members in small groups. We had focus group discussions, and we met with all the regions so that they can give us their views on the various digital platforms and all of that. The members, 70% and more of the members agreed that we should postpone, and they are not yet ready for a digital meeting or a Zoom meeting, as some may call. We have to listen to the majority of our members. And because of that, the executive took a decision to delay the convention. It is not just an election, as the noisemakers are saying, as though you have to line up and go and vote. Fazir, we have over 300 bands. It means that we have to cater for 600 delegates and more. The constitution of PANTRINBAGO is very clear. It calls for an in-person convention with 60% of the members being present before anything can take place. And in light of all of that, we are guided by the decision of our members who we have met with. And so that is why we have made this decision.
Okay, so let me ask you the obvious question then. Because if we see all over the place in Trinidad and Tobago and the wider world, people are having their conventions, their annual general meetings, their seminars taking place online. And even if the Constitution talks about an in-person event, are you basically saying that there's going to be no PANTRINBAGO convention or elections until COVID disappears, which means that you're going to be in power for life then?
No, Fazir, I am not. We are not saying that. We are saying that we have consulted with the members. I am taking instructions from the majority of our members. They have clearly stated that they are not quite yet ready for Zoom. We deal with a number of seniors, and so that is why at this time we are working closely with the Ministry of Digital Transformation to ensure that we have the necessary programs in place to assist our members to get on board. We know for a fact that we are now living in a digital world.
But Ms. Ramsey Moore, I hear you on that, but I understand the challenges, with senior citizens, especially with the technology. But surely it can't be that difficult to have somebody sitting by their side as the grandchild or whatever to help them through the process if it is that you're really serious about following through on the democratic process?
And so the voting must be done by secret ballot, and somebody standing at their side might end up meaning somebody voting for them. And so, Fazir, those are the challenges that we have to deal with. And so whilst we work to fix that, whilst we work to do the training, whilst we work to get our people on board, in the meanwhile, the country is being opened up. We are asking our people to go out there, get vaccinated. We have been working closely with the Ministry of Health, encouraging right now in our office, some people are vaccinated, some are not vaccinated. Even if you go into a safe zone, some people must be vaccinated before. And so we have the challenge. We are working with it. You don't, Fazir, you think I don't want an election? But what I also want as president and as members of the central executive is to report on our stewardship. Fazir, we want to report, especially after we have cleaned up the accounts department of PANTRINBAGO, where we have completed our audits. For the very first time, we have financial rules and procedures in PANTRINBAGO. Fazir, I want the treasurer to get up and to present. But at this time, it proves difficult. The members told us clearly, we are not quite ready. And so we are working on getting them ready for a digital platform. That's what it is at
And,
present.
and before we go to the news in 60 seconds time, have you set a date? Have you identified a prospective date for this convention and elections?
So Fazir, what we have looked at our last meeting is the country being opened up. As a matter of fact, we are hearing that state of emergency is coming to an end this month. And I'm hoping that with state of emergency coming to an end, that a number of places will be opened up that can accommodate both the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. And trust me, the convention, which takes place from about 10 until about 8, 9 o'clock in the night, that convention will take place.
Beverly Ramsey Moore, Ainsley King as well with us. We're dealing with issues relating to governance of both major organizations in Trinidad and Tobago, PANTRINBAGO and TUCO. We'll return to that dialogue with two guests because we pause now for the news, and indeed we'll engage Beverly Ramsey Moore and Ainsley King on the many issues and the many allegations that have been thrown in their direction. But first of all, time for the news.
If we seriously going to talk about steel band, them small island out of the question, Lord. If we join all of them.
5 minutes after 7 o'clock in Trinidad and Tobago, as we return to our dialogue with our two guests, Ainsley King, who has been installed as president of the Trinbago Unified Calypsonians Organization following the passing of Brother Resistance, Lutalo Masimba. Also with us is Beverly Ramsey Moore, who has been giving her justification as to why the convention, which is an all-day event together with the election, has not been held, and indeed with all of the COVID-19 protocols. If I could return to you, Mr. King, in relation to your assertion that being vice president is essentially president in waiting. No, that is not what is being suggested.
I know. Because you see, it's a matter of interpretation, and based on what I've observed, right? Because it wasn't my intention to take the business of TUCO into the public domain, but I mean, anyhow, it is there, and it's clear that when I observe it, because I'm looking and I'm observing, because as a leader will have to understand that even though you see members are reacting in a hateful manner towards you, you have a duty, and you must pay attention to what your responsibility is. For example, what I noticed yesterday is that there were claims being made which were false claims, and it makes me wonder what will cause people to go in the public domain with being uninformed of what the issues are really and truly, and claiming that, okay, well, I have relinquished or resigned my post of Tobago chairman and also the vice presidency. Now, that is totally not true, but I wonder why it is that people who are uninformed will do something like that. But I understand. But the thing is that it shows that these people, the spokespersons yesterday and others, have chosen to go down a very dangerous path, because at the end of this, it's only going to cause them embarrassment. Because, for example, you just spoke about people projecting Ms. Ramsey Moore as dictatorial. It is being done with me too, because you're seeing documents going all over the place making claims that I have asserted the position. And when you look at social media, you will see where bold statements are making that I'm power hungry, and I'm in cut, and I'm in this and that kind of thing. But the thing is, this decision that was made, I asked myself to be excluded, and I had my reasons why, because it surrounded me, and I gave the General Council an opportunity to decide. The minutes is there to prove that, right? So who cares to get confirmation could go to the office, and get it.
But you know where that could go, Mr. King, because at the higher political level, we have fellas recusing themselves every 5 minutes, and family and friends getting big contracts and so on. So the issue really is, and if we could get to the point where, and I'm reading the Ricky Ramdas story from the Express in relation to the legal action, the pre-action protocol, which was sent last week by Attorney Peter Taylor on behalf of Morel Peters, known, of course, in the Calypso fraternity as King Luther.
Week before last week.
Yes, sorry, week before last. Saying essentially that the information that has been presented by you has given the entirely misleading and false impression that upon the death of a sitting president, the vice president automatically assumes the substantive office. And he quotes Article 13, subsection 2 of the Constitution, which commands that a president shall be elected by secret ballot only, and so on and so forth. So essentially, based on what I'm reading here, they are saying that you are in violation of the Constitution.
No, it cannot be me. You see, there's a general council. And
okay, well then, the general council is in violation of the Constitution.
But you see, that is not written in the document, and these are the points I am making, so it cannot be about me. So that document really should have been pointed to the general council. I did not make a decision. And this is the point I am making. These, my dear fellow comrades are going about this business in a wrong way, but I understand, because you said Morel Peters. You know, I could tell you that I suspect that he's not acting in the interest of the members of the organization, but in the interest of Morel Peters, right? And I also suspect that he's motivated by hatred. I hope that is not too much of a harsh word, but
well, it is. I mean, you're throwing accusations there that you know you're bound to get a response.
No. Well, I'm prepared for that because I have evidence for everything that I say. I don't speak just like that, Frazzy. We had an election, the last election, where I was approached by Peters, and he wanted to get the Tobago support. But on the election day, I had somebody in Trinidad from Tobago who decided to vote down there, and they were able to send a list, Peters' list, where he didn't have me as the vice president, and that changed everything.
Okay,
that resulted into me.
Okay, if you could just answer, because I know we're dealing with some really serious issues here, and I'll come back for you for another point. But Beverly Ramsey Moore, just on we finished off before the news. You were talking about this effort, greater transparency and accountability, which you would think, if you're being sincere in your perspective, Ms. Ramsey Moore, that this would be welcomed by the organization. But correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have a functioning executive? Because I understand that a number of your executive have been suspended from PANTRINBAGO. Is that correct?
Here, the number of persons that serve on a PANTRINBAGO executive is 10. At present, we would have had cause to take constitutional action against one member. Well, two, you can say, where we would have reassigned the portfolios after 1 year. Because we wanted to clean the Treasury Department up, because we wanted to change the narrative that is out there on PANTRINBAGO. And Fazil, you are one person who are accustomed pounding us on that. And we wanted to change that narrative. I could not have a person sitting down in the Treasury as treasurer for 2 years and did absolutely nothing but collecting stipends at the end of the month. So we reassigned the portfolio of the elected treasurer, and it was a constitutional action to that of a trustee. And of course, the threats came about being forewarned this to be forearmed. And so we now have Ms. Lauren Pierre as treasurer, and there is where we had the work being done. We have had people like Howard Dutton coming in to help us, Nigel Williams, and so on.
I appreciate the explanation, Mr. Ramsey Moore, but I just want to clarify, if you would allow me, I just want to clarify. How many functioning members of the executive?
3 members resigned. 3 members resigned from the executive. We have a quorum. There are 7 members of the executive. So 3 members resigned. The treasurer, the former treasurer who was reassigned to trustee, the vice president who was reassigned to assistant secretary, because of an investigation that was done based on his performance as chairman in the Eastern region, and then Dane Golson recently resigned. But we would have had cause to suspend 2 of them pending an investigation. So 3 of them resigned, they are out, and we have 7 functioning members, strong as we call ourselves, the Magnificent 7, that has taken the responsibility for charting a new course. As you know, PANTRINBAGO I got PANTRINBAGO as a penniless organization. Out in the open seas, rough seas, we have now been able to anchor the ship, and now we are about rebuilding.
But Ms. Ramsey Moore, before I go back to Mr. King for a final perspective, it seems that you want to keep people off the ship who you don't like, because let me just pose it to you. The accusation is that even for that media conference a couple of weeks ago, where you locked out Fuad Abubakar and his representatives and so on, how do you think the general public will look at something like that?
Fazir, PANTRINBAGO is having a convention. We did not invite our members to attend. It's COVID-19. The members of the regions were there. Those are the same people who have been threatening us, threatening to throw eggs on us, threatening to use social force against us. Those are the same people. That is the same man who brought up reaction protocol letter with his group of 10 showing social force. If we are having a press conference, the management team of PANTRINBAGO, the elected representatives of PANTRINBAGO, we did not invite our members. Why you want to come down there to create bacchanal and confusion? It is not about locking out anybody. It is about discipline and order.
Okay, well,
I am not going to have any rogue element trampling on me because I'm a female in a male's world. No, Fuzzy, you know.
Okay, that was another discussion as well. We're going to come back to you for your final thoughts in a moment, Ms. Ramsey Moore. But Mr. Ainsley King,
yes, sir.
You obviously would be well acquainted with the constitution of TUCO. What is going on now, or who don't like who, or who hate who, or who vexed the laws, or who didn't get the backing, or whatever, for the general public looking back, they'll say, here we go again. Well, bacchanal.
It doesn't look good, because there's need for a cultural change in TUCO. Yes, definitely.
Is there need for a cultural change or a constitutional change to allow for an election?
Both of them. Now, you see, as I said, it wasn't my intent, but the thing is, I must make the public know at this point that my only crime will be, if there's a crime, will be that I openly express my mission, and my mission is to bring respectability and prosperity to an organization that people will now discover, because I'm going to say that is bankrupt. TUCO is not at a good position at this time. I mean, and when I look at it, I see the need for change, because we are owing millions of dollars, right? Millions of dollars, and if a carnival is to come, that challenge is there, and you see, we cannot be business as normal. And what I know is that I've expressed what my mission is, and I'm asking all right-minded thinking members to join me, because the organization is in a position that needs drastic change, from the constitution to the way we go about our things. Right?
I hear you on that, Mr. King. I hear, but it's quite obvious that there are some who are in serious disagreement with you. So how is that to be resolved? Just as a final point before I go back to Ms. Ramsey Moore.
It has to be resolved, because I've already met with the chairman of the zones. I've already met with the chairman, and I have mandated them, because of the present situation that we are in, because we have to work it out, because we want to meet with the membership. It's the only way that we can move forward. So they have a mandate. They are supposed to come back to the General Council in the next meeting that the General Council has. And then from there, we will work how we will move forward. Trying to reach the members, trying to make sure if we have to go virtual, that we could equip and try to get a data as to who is able from who is not able.
Do you have a timeline in mind? Do you have a timeline in mind for an election?
Election? Well, there's a question to the General Council. That is not a question to me.
Well, when is the next General Council meeting?
The next General Council meeting is going to be like, because we are presently in the the Kaiso History Month celebration. So within a week, probably the next upcoming week, or within a week or two.
Okay, all right, I hear you on that, Mr. King. Ms. Ramsey Moore, so if I'm reading you correctly, you're saying that state of emergency comes to an end November the 29th, and if all goes well, are we going to see a PANTRINBAGO convention and election in the month of December?
Definitely, Fazir. We are looking forward to having the convention. As you know, we have only had the opportunity to report to our members in about 1 year of our 3 years. We have not been able to have a constitutional meeting with our members since January of 2020. We look forward to our convention, which takes place for several hours, when we can come together and when we can report on our stewardship. And I want to put this thing about a decision or an illegal postponement. Fazir, PANTRINBAGO's constitution has empowered the executive to exercise all the powers of the convention in the management of the association during the intervals between conventions and general meetings. It clearly says that we can make a decision to postpone. And this is not the first postponement that happened in PANTRINBAGO. Keith Diaz postponed an election for 3 years. And because of unprecedented times, the Constitution clearly states that where this is silent, the executive can make the decision. And that is what we have done. And whose report are you going to believe? The elected central executive, the Magnificent Seven, or the 10 noisemakers out there? 70% of the members signed, affixed their band stamps to an endorsement where they have said we agree with the postponement. And there's where we are at.
And before we conclude, in the same way that Mr. King, which I appreciate, was open enough and honest enough to indicate the state of the finances of TUCO, just as a final point, how would you describe the state of the finances of PANTRINBAGO at this time? Ms. Ramsey Moore.
What I can say to you, Fazir, is that for the very first time, our 2021 audit, we are going to get a clean audit. Very proud of that.
A clean audit with money inside, or a clean audit of indebtedness?
Well, not indebtedness. As you know, everyone has debts. We met a debt of about 40 million, 60 million, and we have been working closely to bring that debt down. That is why, yes, we are struggling at this time, but we believe, and our mantra is prosperity in PAN. We are working towards it. It has not been easy. It has been the most stressful job that I've ever undertaken. Trust me, Fazir, it has not been easy. But we thank National Carnival Commission, NCC, for its support. As you know, under our 3-year term, NCC had full financial control of PANTRINBAGO based on a memorandum of agreement that was signed by the last executive because of the wild spending and the mismanagement and all of that. But what I can say to you today, NCC is extremely proud of PANTRINBAGO and the actions that it has taken to clean up its accounts, to bring on board professionals. We have a professional accountant, we have a junior accountant, and we are doing well, Fazir.
Beverly Ramsey Moore, we want to thank you very much. Ainsley King as well, thank you so much for taking the time to be part of this dialogue, to present your side of the issue, because it's only fair if there's been a media conference highlighting certain issues and accusations in their direction, that they were given the right of response. Thank you very much for that, and we'll wait to see how things unfold. We don't have long again with the different timelines that we've set in our dialogue this morning. 7:22 in Trinidad and Tobago. Here we have an image of the morning sky captured in a car park in Maloney Gardens. Yes, it's a very nice look. Beautiful blue sky, white clouds, probably going in towards the dry season as well, with a lot more blue sky, and very, very hot these days. Now for a video from another one of our regular contributors, Roger McDowell of Pearl Gardens in Pitty Valley. Well, I don't know if it's the same thing with Roger, but whenever the cornbird sees you, he just disappears. But clearly he enjoys the mango. I don't know what type. Is that starch? Probably, maybe not Julie. I don't. Okay, it's Julie. Well, obviously, that's the only real mango there is. If it's Julie mango, it's the cornbird enjoying the Julie mango, and a wild orchid growing on the trunk of the starch mango tree. So it's both the Julie and the starch mango as well as we go to the break.